Welcome back, baby doll. Metcalfe's law describes Doge 100x price pump, right? So Metcalfe's law, to refresh your memory, it describes a network, okay? And in stocks, they don't use Metcalfe's law, right? They use balance sheet stuff. They go, well, what's your cash flow? You're growing like 20% per year. Therefore, the stock is going to go up with earnings. Stocks correlate to earnings. That's the meme, all right? And that's what happens. But crypto's different. Crypto, we don't make money, man. We're a network, right? So it explains Amazon. It explains Google. It explains these big tech companies because you wonder, like, why are they, like, traditionally breaking the models of profitability? Why do they stay expensive for, like, 10 to 15 years? Why? Well, the answer is because you're trying to price them of what they are today, but the market is pricing them like a network. So if you have 1 million people together, you can sell them anything. That's the point I'm trying to make. If you have 1,000 people, it doesn't matter. If you have 1 million people, man, it doesn't matter if you sell phones, you sell shoes, right? You sell lollipops. If you sell colored socks, woolly colored fluffy socks, it doesn't matter. This is what the market is doing by pricing these things so high. You're wondering why does it happen? Well, that's why, man. If you have 1 million people in a network, you can shill them anything. That's what you got to understand. I hope this kind of makes sense to you now, because you're going to sit here and you're going to judge. You're going to say, well, a Doge and an Amazon and a Bitcoin, it doesn't matter. People part of a network can be shilled anything. And that's why the market prices these things the way it does. Okay, so let's go. Metcalfe's law describes Doge 100x. So all it says is, right, your value. So they say ML. So Metcalfe's law, your value. So the value is, right. So you have value equals number of users squared. Okay, and that's just because if you have like one person, you got no network, right? But if you have 2 or 3 or 4, everyone can connect to each other, right? And if you add them all up, you get 4 squared, you get 16 connections in here, okay? That's why, and you can keep doing it. And if you go from 4 to 5, you go from 16 to 25. If you go from 5 people, right? If you go from 5 people to 10, right? You have 25 connections here. And if you go to 10, if you add another 5, you got 100. Look at this. You added 5 more people, but you got 100 connections here. That's why it does this. But don't worry too much about, the numbers and the this and the that. It doesn't matter, man. I'm just telling you, it's a description. It's just, we want to know, how come when we 10x the user base, why isn't it 10x price? Why is it 10 squared? That is the mind-blowing part. Don't get yourself fixated on, but it should be up and it should be down. It's just giving you a reason to hold, man. And it actually worked for Doge. So what I did was, is my homework for you, man. I found out how many Dogecoin wallets there are today. And it says like 4.8 million. This is the beginning of February 2022, right? So you can round it off the numbers. Remember, it's an approximation, okay? So what I did was, I tried to find, okay, at any point in history, was anyone talking about how many Doge wallets there were? And I searched through all the internet. And I went to, obviously there's a website called BitInfo Charts. BitInfo Charts. Unfortunately, it's only today's snapshot, okay? And it doesn't include Coinbase or whatever, right? But luckily for us, Soy Central itself, Reddit, someone 9 years ago, so in 2014, someone actually wrote down how many individual addresses there are. And they removed the dust, the absolute tiny, tiny dust, right? You know, these numbers, they are rough approximations, and the market is forward-looking as well. And there is euphoria and greed. You got to put all of it together. I'm just showing you, wow, this is crazy. So what I thought was, I go, well, man, if I go back and I measure Doge from 2014, wouldn't it be funny if you remove 685,000 and remove the dust, it's about 400 and something thousand. Okay, wouldn't it be funny if we are up roughly 100x. You know, you give it some leeway, maybe up 50x, maybe up 250x, somewhere around there, right? And surprise, surprise, if you go from 2014 and you go up to where it is today, here's your 100x, right? Now, this is just a complete coincidence that it's exactly where we are now, okay? Because, you know, we are forward looking, and there's people who hold Doge who are quote unquote part of the network who aren't specifically holding the addresses. There's Binance, there's Coinbase, there's Robinhood, okay? So we can't account for all of them, but I'm just thinking, man, wow, isn't that absolutely nuts? That's around the number. And because it's a log chart, right? See, when you're here, okay, when you're here, you want to know, oh man, how high can this thing go? You got no idea, right? So that's what you got to say. You got to say, well, 100x is about, right? If you say, hey, we have 4 million people here, 400,000 people here. I think one day we're going to get 4 million, right? You would be saying, wow, Doge gets to 8 cents one day. So I'm going to draw this rectangle. But you got to give it some leeway, right? You got to give it some leeway. You go anywhere in here. So let's go down to a regular chart. So this is what I want to show you, right? You can't see anything, okay? This is 2014. You know the number of users. And by the way, this is a daily chart, okay? So I'm just trying to get you to appreciate how you can use this and why, all right? We're going to go all the way to this daily chart to see what it looks like down here, right? And wouldn't it be crazy if, remember, Metcalfe's law does not forecast for you. It just describes it to you. So if you have yourself placed in 2014 and you think, hey, there's like 400 to 500,000 people in Dogecoin, right? I am a visionary and I believe one day we will get 4 million people. So remember, the hard part is the forecasting itself, right? The hard part is imagining it can get to 4 million people. That's why you need a big imagination, and that's why you got to hold, okay? So, but if you could, wouldn't it be crazy if someone could use something to describe where on the chart it would land? And you're like, oh my God, it will land up here. And you would think, no way, man, no way it lands up there. And it does. It goes all the way up here. That's what happens, right? And look, see, it comes back down. Imagine you still knew, man, we should be higher, we should be higher. And look what ends up happening. We do go up to those places. Isn't it nuts? It's absolutely crazy, right? Now, it does go and fluctuate. Everything fluctuates. There's euphoria, man. I remember I did it with Hex. I did a rough approximation. I found the fair value to be 7 cents in 2021. It went all the way to 50. So it blew by the fair value by 6x. You can go to do it in Bitcoin. You know, Bitcoin in 2013 blew through its fair value by 10x. Okay, 10x. So think about this, right? Imagine you have a fair value somewhere and then it goes up like, let's say your fair value, let's say Bitcoin's right. Bitcoin's fair value was $115, I think, in 2013, right? And then it goes to $200. Right, so you can't look at me and say, oh, you said fair value is $100. I'm going to get out now, and then blame me when it goes up because it ends up going to $1,000. You know, so this is your risk, man. Like, you might miss out on excessive euphoria. How much is enough for you, you know? Because fair value was 100 for Bitcoin, it went to 1,000. You know, Hex fair value was 7 cents, went up to 50 cents, went up like 6x. However, Bitcoin in 2021, it only went up above fair value by like 50%, 80%. It didn't even double. So if you go back every other time, it goes so euphoric, okay? But we now know, and you now know, this is a third cycle curse prophecy. That's why it happened. Perhaps that's what might happen to Ethereum, right? Doge, this is where everything gets on a tailspin, right? The wheels spin out here on the model because Elon Musk came here. This was a third cycle for Doge, and Elon Musk gave it basically an artificial, once-in-a-lifetime popularity boost, right? That's what he did. He literally injected this huge moonshot in the third cycle, even though it looked like it was like, you know, it was going to probably pump. Maybe it should have only pumped to down here or something, you know? Maybe it should have only been down here. And why do I use this number range? Because that's exactly what Litecoin did. Litecoin barely broke its high, came back down, right? So maybe without Elon Musk, maybe this would have just been seen as just another thingy, right? But he got the network effect to grow from 400,000 people to 4 million. Like, we bursted up to 4 million, okay? That's the crazy part. And it's roughly about the approximate value where we say it should be. So, you know, we did go higher. We did go higher than that. We went up Like another 7, 8x. Isn't that crazy, man? We went up way above fair value. But you can't use this to forecast. That's the thing, right? So if you're saying to me, you got to have an appreciation for this, all right? Don't try to time this stuff. You can't sit here and say, hey, man, by the way, fair value is lower. You can't say that because people are onboarding and joining at this point in time, okay? And they're here. It's very hard for you to say, hey, I'm using the network effect to approximate we should be around fair value here. You can't say that because people are coming in and all you're seeing is this part. You're just seeing heaps of growth. You go, well, man, crap, we added like 1 million people in the past 9 months. If we add another million people, we get so-and-so price increase. Once you start thinking like that, it gets dangerous, okay? Because the fair value and everything coming back to normal, it takes so much time to just weed out and rinse people out and go back to where you think the market should go. Man, this is a long time, dude. It's like 1.5 years to get back here, you know? Because people are still onboarding here, right? You don't know, so it's super fast, and then the onboarding is slowing here, right? Onboarding is slowing, and it's going like sideways, and it's still like slow. I'm drawing up arrows. It's still up a bit, right? But it's not these vertical ups. So it's very hard to sit here and tell yourself, yes, I'm going to price forecast it and everything, right? You go back to the beginning of my video message. I said, wouldn't it be nice if you had some sort of mental model and framework to tell you, hey, this thing's up 3x, but it's not the end. Wouldn't you like something like that? Because a lot of people will say, take profit, you're up a double, take profit. You're up 3x, take some profit. You know, you're up 4x, you should take some more profit. A lot of people would say that, right? But now you know, hang on, these crypto, they're moving like networks. And networks give a value exponential increase when you add more people. When you go 10x the user base, you'll get 100x the price growth, right? So if you get 5x the user base, that's still 25x, man. You save yourself. And I'm sharing this with you. Why? Why am I sharing this with you? Because I'm telling you now, as much as I love this and as much as I can explain it, one day the edge will diminish. Okay, one day the edge will be gone. Okay, one day these pumps aren't going to be here. One day it's just going to move more like this, right? You're going to get some euphoria, some despair, but you're not going to get these 600% above fair value, minus 90% stuff. You're not going to get that insane volatility. It's going to become more boring like the stock market. Because with the stock market, people are so much better now at putting in models for macro and jobs and retail sales. And this industry is growing at 20% per year. I hope you kind of get what I mean now, right? All the industries, go look at stock analysts. They know, okay, this total demographic is like 300 million, 300 million people. Or this total addressable market cap is 40 billion. And I think this thing can get to 5% of its total, of the market cap for whatever, makeup or fashion or whatever it is, right? They have so much better models at grasping what's going on. So the players are more mature about it, right? That's why you can only get sick gains in very, very new industries because no one knows how to value it yet, right? And I hope the light bulb in your head went off because we are exactly that. We are in a very still new bleeding edge industry and no one knows what the hell is going on. And I promise you now, firstly, you can game these wallet addresses. People don't price this stuff off wallet addresses yet. That's why there's edge, okay? One day they will. And there's also going to be people who spam the wallet addresses and try to fake activity. And there will also be quant funds and all these other nerds who make super complex models to predict what fair value should be based off the number of users who are clicking on a website and using stuff, okay? So unfortunately, the party will end. But the party hasn't ended yet, right? So that's why I still believe the best of the days ahead of us, man. That's why that's why it's so early to be part of a network early, part of a crypto early. I'm so glad I could show you this with Doge. You can see, wow, that's why all these other communities, man, like if you have 200,000 people in, you can imagine, okay, we can have 1 million one day, right? From 200,000 to 1 million, you're 5xing the user base. Right, so you now know, okay, fair value should be 25x. maybe you get some euphoria. Maybe instead of 25x, it goes double the euphoria. Now you're at a 50x, right? I don't want to always say, hey, everything's going to go 5x above every time, because it won't. Because that's a very dangerous place to be in. Okay, I'm telling you now, over time, the euphoria goes down. We temper the euphoria. Cycle 1, cycle 2. Then you get Bitcoin cycle 3. The euphoria tempers down. People start to learn, okay, what's really going on? How much money do I really need coming in? How's everything really going to fall into place? Until next time, friends.